Hello everyone, it's Peter Moran from Ray White Long Jetty. Now I'm here today with our special guest. Welcome Tegan from Affordable Conveyancing Services, which is also part of the Drake Legal Group. Welcome Tegan.
Hi everyone, how are you going?
Good. Now Tegan, great to have you here. Now we're going to talk about contracts for sale of land, which is obviously the important document that we need if someone is purchasing a property or selling a property.
Yeah.
And some of the common questions that we get asked from people, for instance, about title, and that is, if someone is buying a property, can you explain to our people watching out there what is the difference between joint tenants and tenants in common?
I definitely can. So joint tenancy and tenants in common, while that sounds similar, are actually very different. So joint tenancy is generally the option that is selected by married couples or long-term couples who share a life and they share assets. So basically when someone is in a joint tenancy, they own the property in equal shares, and then they also have a right of survivorship. Now survivorship means that if the other joint tenant passes away, their share automatically transfers to the surviving joint tenant. Whereas tenants in common is where two or more people own a property and they can own it in equal shares or unequal shares. For instance, it could be 1%, 99%. And tenants in common is generally the option for people that are purchasing for investments or sort of like a business, or it may be couples of a second marriage who have children where they want to be able to will their share. So the biggest difference there is tenants in common, they get their selected shares and then they can sell or they can will their share to someone else. So if they were to die, their share will be distributed as they direct rather than going to the remaining tenant like joint tenancy.
Now another thing that we come across in the contract is what's called a covenant. So can you explain to everyone out there what is a covenant?
Yeah, so a covenant is something that is listed on title if it's relevant. A covenant is an agreement, a rule, a promise, and an obligation. So there can be positive or there can be restrictive covenants. Now a positive covenant is a covenant that requires you to do an action, for instance, erect a boundary fence along your lot, whereas a restrictive covenant limits the specific use of your land in a certain way. So this may be you can't own domestic animals, so you can't have, or non-domestic animals, sorry, so you can't have pigs or chickens, or you can't run a business from your property.
Very good. Okay, so the very final one is an easement.
An easement. So an easement is also located on title if relevant, and it basically grants the use to another landowner or a statutory authority the specific use to a portion of your land. So this may be a right of carriageway, so the battle axe kind of blocks where the neighbour needs to pass the front property, or it could be for the running of like sewer or electricity across your lot to get to someone else's. So it's just it's allowing the use of your land to someone else and giving them that right.
Right. And the implications, I guess, of the easement running across a property, as you say, most commonly in the case of the statutory bodies like council, it does put some restrictions in as to how close you can build to the boundary fence or whether you can actually put a pool in or a shed over that easement.
Absolutely. So generally you, depending on the kind of easement, you can't often build directly on them. However, like for example, me specifically, I had a property and we had a sewer main running along the rear of the property, which was an easement. We wanted to put a shed up, and so basically it was a matter of applying to council, finding out what the obligation was, and we were provided three options: move completely off it, pier it, or replace it. So there's still options, but it does mean you need to make the correct investigations, applications, and act accordingly.
Very good, and I guess on that, that's what's always important, to speak to someone qualified, such as yourself and your firm here. So in doing so, now whereabouts could people find you?
So you can find us at Long Jetty. We're in Thompson Street. The easy indicator is we're just up from Glass Onion Society or Ray White.
Very good. And best phone number to call you on?
You can get us on 02 4333 5313.
Thank you very much, Tegan. You've been a great help.
Thanks so much for coming.
All the best. Enjoy your weekend.
You too.
Bye.